The event is closely watched by movers and shakers throughout the fashion industry and can be a pivotal moment in a designer's career. CCTV's Tracy Tandon has the story.
New York Fashion Week, one of the biggest events in the life of a fashion designer. A time for them to flex their artistic muscles and fan their feather dresses down the runway. It's here that designers get to present their new collection to some of the most influential people in fashion. Fashion journalists review the clothes much like a movie critic does at a film festival. Editors determine the mood of the collection, identifying both the colors and the trends of the season. And buyers from big retailers like Saks Fifth Avenue or smaller boutiques decide what clothes they want in their stores.
To me, it's like the biggest stage you could ever have. And New York also has the history of the longest garment manufacturing business. And hence I decided years ago to move to New York and study here and train myself here. So this became my natural habitat.
When it comes to Fashion Week, iconic designer Carolina Herrera prefers to take the broad view.
I am not in the fashion business. I am in the beauty business, because I always say that the women who wear my clothes should look very beautiful. So I try to make them, to offer them that. It's not only the makeup, it's only what you wear.
Fashion Week is like a business convention for the fashion industry. With so many editors, retail buyers, and stylists all watching closely, all designers hope that what they put out on the runway will end up on the racks.
The information is going to be all over the world and people will see it. And so I want to make sure that someone somewhere in the world wants to wear it.
Fashion Week is not just important for designers, but for models too, who hope to secure bigger jobs in the cutthroat fashion industry.
It's here that everything starts, and if you want to have a good job after, you must start here.
Designers and their creative teams work for months putting together the perfect collection. They've got about 15 minutes to make an impression. And when one season ends, it's back to the drawing board for the next.
You know that the collections, one works for 6 months, because the moment I finish with this collection, I start for the other one, which is going to be in September. It's always in work.
The business of fashion is a high-stakes game. For up-and-coming designers, a show can be make or break. For more established designers, it's another opportunity to command the runway. Tracy Tandon, CCTV, New York.
Thousands of fashion lovers and industry insiders have been flocking to New York this week. It officially kicked off on Thursday. And Tracy Tandon, our resident fashionista, has been covering the event. She joins me now in studio. Tracy,
Pseudo-fashionista.
This has been your third time covering this event. Now, we know it's all very glamorous on stage, but what goes on backstage? What was it like behind the scenes at this year's event so far?
Right, Michelle, so every year, Fashion Week, it all seems very glamorous and put together when all the models hit the runway, but behind the scenes, it's actually quite, I think I would describe it as organized chaos. The energy is electrifying, but it is definitely very chaotic as all the models try to get together, getting their hair, makeup, and nails done. The designers as well. I think what I was really surprised to see through my years of covering Fashion Week is just how hands-on the designers are. Everything from making sure the lights, the sound, everything is in order.
Very quick wardrobe changes happening
absolutely there. It is absolutely chaotic backstage, but it is really that kind of meticulous planning that leads to the success of fashion shows year in and year out, with so many editors, buyers, stylists, and all celebrities watching the events very closely. It's no surprise that the fashion designers have a lot at stake, and they're all willing to pay a pretty penny for it.
Creating the perfect fashion show is no easy feat. It involves months of planning, designing, creating, and number crunching. And the costs run high when you consider New York Fashion Week, the biggest fashion event of the year, which beats out the likes of Milan, London, and Paris. According to Business Insider, it's hard to put on a fashion show for less than $100,000. And for some higher-end labels, the costs run even higher. One of the biggest expenses for designers during New York Fashion Week is the venue. The Lincoln Center, which is the official home of New York Fashion Week, charges anything from around $15,000 for a smaller space to up to $50,000 for something just a little bigger. In addition to venue, other costs include production and public relations, stylists, and paying for hair and makeup if it's not sponsored, as well as models.
It costs a lot. The venue, especially this time we are in Lincoln Center, the venue itself, the PR, the models, everything. Makeup stuff, everything you look at in 20 minutes could cost a lot of money and many months efforts.
To keep costs down, some designers find other venues outside of Lincoln Center. But fashion designer Vivienne Hu says it's important for designers to bear the costs and stay at one location.
I think that all designers should be united together, give the convenience to the press, because they can see all the other designers. At the same time, if you travel downtown, uptown, like Brooklyn, it will be so hard for other designers, because it's very difficult already, sharing the models, sharing a lot of things already.
New York Fashion Week is not only the largest fashion event, it's also a big hit online, generating the most internet searches compared to other fashion shows around the world. With so much attention both online and off, designers are well aware that high exposure and high fashion often means high prices.
Despite the pretty price tag that comes with putting on a show, designers all realize the value of Fashion Week, and this season is clearly no different. In fact, there are around 300 shows that take place in New York every season, fall and spring.
Well, Tracy, it goes on until Thursday, so we still expect a lot more from you. What are some of the highlights coming up?
Well, still to come is shows by Calvin Klein, Michael Kors, as well as the Chinese fashion designer Anna Sui. And speaking of prominent designers, I got a chance to catch up with the iconic Carolina Herrera backstage. And here's a sneak peek at what we spoke about.
I am not in the fashion business. I am in the beauty business. Because I always say that the women who wear my clothes should look very beautiful. So I try to make them, to offer them that. It's not only the makeup, it's only what you wear.
On Wednesday, I'll bring you more of that interview with Carolina Herrera, as well as some of the other designers I will be speaking to backstage. Michelle will also take a closer look at just how significant Fashion Week is for not only designers, but also editors and buyers alike.
Oh, sure. It's a really big event. I like Carolina's comment that it's not about the fashion, it's about the beauty.
That's what we care about, right?
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you very much, Tracy. Now, you stay tuned.